Hi everyone, this is Dan and the Future Holds Crypto. It has been a while since I posted my last video, and a lot has happened since then. And I'm not only talking about crypto and prices and everything, but of course, as you know already, there's a war going on in Ukraine, and that has shifted a lot of the issues or the attention on that part, and that's of course very understandable. It is worrying, and I'm not going to talk about that now. Of course, it is not necessarily a fun start of this year. I mean, some would say that remember the good times when we were only staying home during the pandemic, but that was the hardest part of our lives. Well, um, what I wanted to talk about in this video is a little bit about the long-term perspective and what's happening now, because I feel that there's a hard period across the world, and not only because of the pandemic, but also a lot of the economic indicators show that a recession might be coming. The Federal Reserve announced a couple of things related to rate hikes, even reducing the QE, and actually not only that, but reducing the balance sheet because they acquired more than 7 trillion, I believe, and they want to reduce the balance sheet. And I'm very interested to see how that goes, because in the past it hasn't been going well. If that's happening, it won't be very good for the stocks in general, and you know that crypto is kind of and not kind of, but until now it's quite correlated. But besides that, I also want to talk about the fact that I think that besides all of these factors, and even if the economy on the let's say midterm doesn't look great, in my view, I mean, of course, nobody knows what's going to happen. It's a very complex subject, and I've seen people with a lot more experience than I, which I'm a random dude on the internet, that were wrong on a lot of things lately. So it's a very complex thing, and I'm just trying to see or put my perspective on it, which might not be necessarily worth it, but or accurate. But here it is. I think that while the economy doesn't look great, and I think that we have some chances of rate hikes, and until we see that slowing down, or if the Fed is switching um, their strategy, I don't think the stocks will be looking great. Of course, there will be stocks that will be doing good because the companies are great and everything, but when they were printing money and they were putting free money on the market, you didn't have to have a lot of experience in this investing. I mean, you could choose a random stock. Don't look at the numbers, don't look at the data, the quarterly reports and everything, and you had quite a good result in the end in percentages in gains. And of course, you can see now that a lot of big stocks and have fallen in the previous months. And if you look at some, let's look at some stocks, but they pulled the crypto. So you can see a 77% decline for DocuSign. Let's look at PayPal. Well, they recovered a little bit since then, but they had a dip of 70%, the PayPal as well. If you look at Meta or Facebook, they had 51%. And we can keep looking at this, and the stocks are not looking great. And people said that this crypto is very volatile, but I think that in this case you can see that even the stocks didn't do a great job here. Of course, not all of them, but there are a lot of these examples like here, which don't look great, and you can say they pulled the crypto basically. Look at Netflix, 51%, or even worse. If you look here, it's 53% until we bounced, but that's a trend. The trend has not inverted yet. So basically, this is the situation right now. But and if we look at Bitcoin, it's interesting that, as you can see here, of course, we had this very big downtrend, and now let's say we are in a retracement. First of all, I don't think. I mean, while the trend is has changed into an upper trend, it is not confirmed that is a short or a midlife trend. So it might be just a retracement, and the downtrend hasn't yet been confirmed as inverted, right, or stopping the trend. So as you know, the trend is your friend. So in most cases, if the trend is downwards, the probability is more likely to go downwards. In this situation right here, it is not necessarily, I mean, even this dip here, it's not bad. It's still, for the moment, it's still a higher low. So it doesn't look that bad, but some caution is advised here. And now going back to the market, and I think that crypto has something in its sleeve that is different from the traditional markets. And I think that, first of all, crypto doesn't have the adoption yet, the mass adoption. And that is some factor that can be very helpful in the next following years, even if the stock market is not going to be a great performer. Crypto has yet to show itself in terms of full potential, and I believe we are still early. There are a lot of factors. You can see that everywhere countries have started to work on the regulations to make it clearer, and this is, you can see in the last couple of months, a lot of actions in that. Even the United States has started this with Biden's executive order. It will take a while, especially in the United States, but other countries have moved faster, and there's a trend there. And I believe that this is something that crypto has in its sleeve, and not only that, but with this war, which is horrible, something has been made more clear, because I've seen a lot of people that don't believe that crypto has any value or utility, and I tried to explain to them the utility and the fact that it's independent from the financial systems, from the banks, and that you can hold your own keys, and it's not confiscable, and people don't usually think about that. They didn't have problems like that in the past, even if, for example, in my country, it happened quite recently, 20-30 years ago, even inflation and everything, but people forget, people don't care, or haven't lived through those periods, or don't believe that it will happen to them, right? And this is this war has brought into light a very strong utility of crypto, and it's not the only one, but it's really, really important. So it's the first time you can have money that you can control, that is not easily taken by the government or stolen and everything. So and you can move your wealth easily enough if something something bad happens, like in Ukraine. So imagine yourself having to leave your country because of an impending war, and you don't have access to your money, or you need some cash, and there are restrictions because the financial system or the banks have crashed, and you have queues of tens of people, the ATMs, and you don't have time for that. You want to leave sooner, and you need some cash. Even the payment system, the Visa, doesn't work for some reason. What are you going to do right now? So it becomes a very stressful and important issue. Also, the fact that if you want to leave the country, you want some cash, and you want some money, so you can leave the country and make the living in another place, or until you transition to where you want to go. So this is exactly what has come to light because of this war, this terrible, terrible war. You can see here is a very interesting article. A Ukrainian refugee flees to Poland with $20,000 in Bitcoin on an USB drive. And what I want to show here is that nearly a quarter of Ukraine's population has been forced from their homes in the last 4 weeks, and the war has strained the country's financial system. As the invasion proceeded, ATMs across the country started to run out of cash, and some people stood in line for hours only to face a $33 limit per transaction. Transferring money out of the national bank accounts proved equally fruitless after the central bank suspended electronic cash transfers on the same day that Russia invaded your country. So imagine you cannot have cash, you cannot do any electronic transfers, and you're stuck, right? And many have returned to cryptocurrency to safeguard their cash, bring their money with them, accept remittances and donations, and to transact with each other for daily necessities. An Ukrainian refugee took an USB stick with him across the border, containing 40% of his life savings, or about $2,000 in Bitcoin. And a statement from him: I couldn't withdraw cash at all because the queues to the ATMs were so long, and I couldn't wait that much time. Fede tells CNBC that he made peer-to-peer exchange with a friend, trading $600 worth of his Bitcoin saving for zloty, the Polish national currency, which he then used to pay for a bus across the border, a bed in a hostel for him and his girlfriend, and some food, basic needs. The speed of the ease of the crypto transaction proved instrumental. Within 2 hours of Fede's safe passage into Poland, Ukraine closed its borders to all men of fighting age. So basically, if he wanted to avoid the war, the time was crucial. You couldn't spend time waiting at an ATM and only getting $33 in the end, right? So this is something really, really important, and I think people started to see the value in crypto. It is happening now. People are seeing it live, and I think this is starting to change. People are starting to understand why this has value. Any bank system can collapse. This is decentralized. It's a network all across the world, and I'm not saying it cannot crash. It can crash, especially, I'm talking about prices now. But while it matures, this will be happening less and less. And for the moment, it's good enough in situations like this, and it's more reliable than a bank system in a country if something like this happens. There was something interesting, and something around here saying that basically he remembered the password in his mind, went over the border with no issues. So that's another thing, and if you want to easily go with your wealth from one place to another, this is much easier. So this is one thing. The next, of course, the old financial system, the old system, basically all the powers in place will always fight something that might disrupt them until they find a way to integrate with them. And of course there will be some fights, as it is today. A lot of people were governments or politicians from governments fighting against crypto, and regulators trying to put a sugar coat on regulation so they can avoid making this even easier to spread across the world. But this is just a matter of time. They already lost it. They lost the war, and I can guarantee you that even if they can do some damage on the long or mid-term, they lost the war. They cannot do anything about it. This is out of the bag. It's like the cat is out of the bag. It's only a matter of time, and you can mark my words. It's only a matter of time. And I'm not talking about now one specific crypto, though I think that in this regard you can say that Bitcoin at least, but I think there will be others. Bitcoin at least has the biggest chances of becoming, the more adopted one at first. Then some others will come and follow. But this is out of the bag, and you can, if in US with the legalized, not bribery, but let's say, the lobbying, crypto has already become big, and the people spend a lot from crypto into the lobby system itself, and through after $1.1 million from crypto, $1 million for banks, it's kind of the same thing for politicians. And also the fact that more than 20% of US is actually holding crypto, and it's all about the votes. They won't risk it. You will see a lot of campaigns from now on, political campaigns for the new elections, showing crypto regulations or supporting crypto as a positive thing in their campaign. And you will see this. And it's already started. I've seen a couple already. So it's over. From this perspective, it's over. Now, of course, they can slow it down for a bit. They can put some problems ahead, but they won't succeed. Now, I think that this combined with another thing that happened. One of the arguments I hear from people when we're talking about crypto is, no, it's illicit transfers, drug money, and a lot of other subjects like abductions and everything. And I know for a fact that there have been recent studies from companies that work with the FBI and CIA since 2014 related to crypto. And they showed the graph since 2 years ago that the illicit transfers, the illicit activities in crypto has reduced to less than 3%. People didn't believe that. But now you have this. So whenever you see people throwing the illicit in your way, whenever you talk about crypto or Bitcoin, you can show them this. US Treasury confirms we can remove illicit activity from Bitcoin FUD dice. It's time to take illicit activity off the FUD dice. Earlier this month, the US Department of the Treasury published reports that indicated that the use of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies for illicit activity is far outstripped by the use of traditional assets. Critics can no longer credibly present the specter of illicit activity to beat back Bitcoin. Now, the foremost experts in the world say it's not a major threat. And something from the US Treasury Department: the use of virtual assets for money laundering remains far below that of fiat currency and more traditional methods. The 2022 National Money Laundering Risk Assessment, page 41, terrorist use of virtual assets appears to remain limited when compared to other financial products and services. The 2022 National Terrorist Financing Risk Assessment, page 23. There is no evidence that a proliferation network has used the virtual asset to procure a specific proliferation-sensitive good or technology. The 2022 National Proliferation Financing Risk Assessment, page 29. Case closed. Staff of the US Treasury, the authors of the report, are the most knowledgeable and best equipped investigators and enforcers against illicit financing in the world. Moreover, the reports were reviewed by the US government partners, including the Department of Justice, the Department of Homeland Security, and the FBI. There could not be more authoritative source to convey these findings. So, this makes the point. And you know that in one of my previous videos from the end of 2020, we covered this, and we did some comparison between some reports on illicit activities on the fiat system and banking system, the traditional one, compared to reports done on crypto for illicit activities. And we knew this, but this is, of course, has a lot more validity because it has some big names and investigators that have done this comparison, and then basically this kind of enforces that. So this is it. This is a very good thing you can show to people that are just throwing things, whatever they heard from some random hater of crypto out there. So there you have it. Now let's look a little bit about on Bitcoin, because I told you crypto and Bitcoin and crypto has something that I think is plus compared to the traditional markets. Even if the markets don't do great in the next following years, I'm not saying that Bitcoin or crypto will, but I think that it has better chances, let's say. Probability, a good probability of them at least doing better. How much better? I don't know. But it's about the adoption. And I told you until now why I think this has a chance. But let's see if we have some evidence of that. And not necessarily evidence, but let's look at some data. If we look here, I've been watching this for a while now. This is the Bitcoin balance on exchanges, on all exchanges. So basically the total amount of Bitcoin that is held on exchanges. And that's what's very interesting here is that usually when people sell Bitcoin, usually they take it from their hardware wallets or private wallets, and they put it back on exchanges. This is what happens when people sell. And I talked about this in the previous videos. Something happened, something switched from I think it's from May, but basically the supply held on exchanges since 2020 has been going down. And you can see here that usually in the past the supply on exchanges also grew a lot when the price grew a lot. Then when the price dropped a lot, the number of Bitcoin supply held on exchanges grew a lot as well, kind of proportional here. It went down as a price, the supply on exchanges went up again. Now you can see that it started to go down. People are, I think that kind of it might show the fact that people still trust to buy Bitcoin. And I told you that basically, even in my case, my plans for the pension is actually to buy Bitcoin on a weekly basis. I believe in Bitcoin and this much more than any pension fund, any pension program, anything out there. I think this is much better. So basically, I always buy Bitcoin. I do dollar cost averaging each week. Not a lot, but I do. And probably a lot of people started to do that. But this shows the fact that it might be the beginning of something bigger than we think. It might be the fact that Bitcoin might be changing, right? Metamorphosing in something that shows the adoption, something that is the true asset of holding value, right? And it actually started to do something very interesting since the previous top on 10th of November. So it's the first time when Bitcoin has a very big price drop, or big price drop, and the supply also goes down. This is the first time. And of course, this is interesting to watch. Of course, it can turn around, so I'm constantly watching it. But I'm also watching it. I'm looking at this. So basically, this is the supply held in exchanges. The net position change. So basically, if it's green, more Bitcoin goes back to exchanges. If it's red, more Bitcoin goes out of exchanges. And you can see here that in the at least from here to here, especially since what is this, March, we have a very big drop in terms of, not drop, but a lot of Bitcoin has left exchanges. So if you look at here, basically this means that more Bitcoin has been taken off exchanges than before, and this is good to see because it is a good indicator to see if what comes next. So for example, if you see here that this switches to green, people are putting back their Bitcoin on exchanges so they can sell good price, or because of fear. In this case, it's still going in the lower period. So basically, people are taking crypto out of exchanges. So for the moment, everything looks good. So when we're going to start this reverse, we should also watch what happens on the price, because it is a good indicator, pre-indicator, that a sell-off might happen. I'm not saying that the sell-off will not happen like this or right now, but it looks for the moment that a big one might not necessarily happen. And even if it does, I think it will be bought. Besides this, if we look here, the Bitcoin wallet sizes, with people holding more than one Bitcoin, or wallets holding more than one Bitcoin, because one guy can hold more wallets. You can see that we are at new all-time highs. There are more wallets holding one Bitcoin now than we had in any point of time in history. Now, don't get me wrong. This happened after the peak in 2017, December 2017. You can see here that while the Bitcoin was going down, the supply was steadily going up. We reached a new all-time high as well in wallets, and then we had a very big price drop. So it's not necessarily one thing that can guarantee us anything. But if you look here, for example, in 2018, what was going on right then? So the Bitcoin supply was actually growing on exchanges, right? Now it's not. It's going down by quite a lot if you look here. So basically, if you look in the history, the Bitcoin supply on exchanges today is the same from August 2018. And since then, more than 1.5 million Bitcoin has been mined into existence. So we have more Bitcoin in existence, but still we have the same supply held on exchanges as in August 2018. So that's a good thing. Also, what was going on before the price drop? You can see here that since the peak, we had major inflows of Bitcoin into the exchanges. And right before the sell-off started, as you can see, it reverted right here. It started to grow a lot, and then the price just plummeted down. So this time, we don't have this yet. It seems that for the moment, it might be a little bit different than the last time. But of course, the saying "this time will be different" usually is dangerous to say or believe it. But this is what I see in the data for the moment, and this is what I wanted to show you. I mean, as a summary, I think that we are not going through a, let's say, wonderful period in the world from a lot of perspective. We have the war going on. We have the pandemic still going on silent because nobody cares anymore. And of course, people just want to go out, and myself included. We have the economy not looking great, but we do have some good things that can happen in crypto with some degree of probability, right? Of course, like in everything in life. But we'll see what will be going on. I think that this is something interesting to still look at it, and I'm looking at most of the days. And I hope that this video helped you in any way. And thank you for watching. Have a great one, and enjoy the upcoming spring if you can. Bye.